Good day everybody, and welcome to a video about Pisces, the final sign in the zodiac. Not the final archetype I speak about in this video series, but I just felt called or inspired to talk about Pisces in this video. So I do want to say up front again, only a sun in Pisces will not suffice to correlate to what I'm going to say. You can have, for example, a sun in Aries conjuncting Neptune. So because of Neptune being the ruling planet of Pisces, there can be a stronger Piscean energy in somebody who has a sun in Aries. There can be a stronger Piscean energy in somebody who has sun and moon in completely different signs, but who has a Pluto in the 12th house, because the 12th house also correlates to the Piscean archetype. And in evolutionary astrology, if we have a Pluto in a particular house, we can have a stronger signature of that archetype in us as well. So once again, we got to look at the whole chart to really grasp ourselves as an individual human soul that has incarnated and is on a journey. And that's why, yes, I do welcome you to come for a reading if you are curious and feel called to, because it's so much more like thrilling to look into our individual charts as they correlate to our individual life's journey and point in time where we are. So that being said, I will still speak about the archetype Pisces and how I have come to understand and see it so far. So Pisces is part of the water element family. So that makes it one of those more sensitive, more emotional, very much more open and feeling archetypes. Pisces is this final archetype in the zodiac. So it is said that it's almost like an accumulation or a completion of all the other archetypes that came before. So if there hasn't been a development through the other archetypes, we arrive at Pisces and everything here comes to an end. Everything collapses back into everything and nothing. It can be said that Pisces is the alpha and the omega. You know, it's like it's where everything starts and everything ends, and where everything is and where everything is nothing. So these are obviously very kind of elusive spiritual mumbo jumbo terms. So bringing it back home more into our human experience, we can have a person that's extremely open and very sensitive and feels a lot within themselves and what's going on around them collectively and in the immediate surrounding. There can be this boundlessness, so it can be very challenging to feel ourselves and to feel what is ours and what is that of others. And that is kind of the paradox, right? Because yeah, on some level essentially we are all one and there is no you or me on some level. And nevertheless, we are having a human experience with some solidity, and while everything is energy, we are having an experience where energy is quite dense on this planet. And so there is an experience of boundaries and solidity. So with this Pisces archetype, what we get to learn is to integrate this spiritual experience, the sensitivity, the heightened awareness into this terrestrial realm, bringing the celestial into the terrestrial. And that's where I again love this opposing sign of Virgo. I always see the opposing signs as kind of medicine and support. So in this case, Virgo is part of the earth element family, and so it can really help us to be a conduit or a vessel for this divine, creative, intelligent energy, to be channeled in a way that's tangible, to be channeled in a way that lands on this earth. So we can use psychosomatic work to help us land the psyche more deeply into the soma, the soul more deeply into the body. We can use body work in general to help us have a more grounded experience. We can also use art, music, dance, song to give expression to these subtle experiences and energies that we might be having. And then, of course, the increasingly evolved expression of this Pisces archetype becomes one of service for humanity. When we do our own work of integrating the intensity and also, by the way, the collective sorrow and pain and trauma that we can be feeling from the sensitivity of the Piscean energy, when we do the work of integrating this within ourselves and transmuting this within ourselves, we can come to a point of then, having more compassion for ourselves, obviously, and for humanity, and therefore becoming more of service from that which we ourselves have integrated and learned, bringing this into the collective. I do want to speak on the shadow expression of Pisces here as well, because as I just mentioned, this heightened sensitivity can open us up so much to the suffering in the world. Like it's not just the beautiful experience to be so sensitive. It's like very tough at times because we feel so much. So we feel this immense pain that's going on in the world. We can feel our ancestral or see our ancestral stories and traumas as well. And that obviously can be really overwhelming. And actually, even if we feel the quote-unquote beautiful stuff, because we live in a world that's not very tuned in to sensitivity, it can just be disorienting to feel so much. It's like we don't know where to put it, we don't know where to go with it, because this world is kind of blind to it. So this can lead with this Pisces archetype to numbing behavioral mechanisms such as addiction. So Pisces is one of the ones that's prone to addictive behavior in order to regulate itself, in order to kind of numb itself down so it can function in this world better, or to just some degree. So this can be one challenge and one shadow side for the Pisces archetype, and it actually can get really, really dark to the degree of even, becoming deeply suppressed or suicidal, because we can feel so isolated and alone with this deep sensitivity, and can feel, as I mentioned, really lost with it. So this is like obviously the very dark side that this can go to, and then it's so important to reach out for help and to go into this Virgo work of reaching out to teachers or to people who have walked the path before us and can help us light the way and can support us on our own journey. We are not alone. Let's see. Another shadow expression of Pisces I want to point out is like this, what we often probably would call spiritual bypassing. Because there is this experience of like boundlessness, timelessness, multidimensionality, we can resort to these spiritual ways of speaking, of saying, nothing matters because it's all an illusion anyways, and it's all going to dissolve again, and this world is not real, and or we have an infinite amount of time and all this stuff. And while this is of course on in some dimension, this is real, we also have incarnated into this current dimension and reality, and there things like time exist, things like finity, like things are finite. So there was another one I wanted to say. This whole thing with an illusion, it's so popular amongst certain spiritual circles or communities to use this, don't worry about it, it's all just an illusion anyways. Yes, in some way this is true, but again, at the same time, we are in this current body and in this current experience. So having the perspective that it's not so real as we might make it mean, it can maybe help us to take things more easily, but it shouldn't be a means of avoiding things. And that can be very challenging for those of us who have Pisces, stronger Pisces energies in our blueprint, to kind of hold this vastness of infinity and finity at the same time. I'm not sure if finity is a word, but yeah, so this Pisces archetype can have, you know, a myriad of different perspectives as well. This is why it can make us so compassionate and understanding towards all kinds of different people, towards the rapist and the perpetrator, because we can see the deeper underlying and the wider spectrum of the human condition, and that it's not all just black and white. And then at the same time, because we can see all of that, and if it overwhelms us, we can resort to numbing certain aspects of our experience and becoming very fixed in another, and then actually, yes, like being against one thing and for the other thing only, and being very, very solidified in that. But we are actually kind of cutting off parts of ourselves. If we do that, we are not living Pisces in its highest evolved expression. Yeah. And then also what I want to say is that it's also very important to be aware of that we're not making it an intellectual, conceptual thing only of being like, we are all one. It's so easily said. Or if we take psychedelics, it's also very easily experienced. But here comes in the polarity point of Virgo again, the embodiment part. Can we actually feel it in our hearts and wombs and our laps if we are a man? Like, can we feel it from the root, through the heart, to the crown, into the heavens, all the way down into the earth? Is the question. Can we feel it all the way around? Can we feel it deeply? And not only just here, up here, it's like a concept, yeah, that sounds nice and that I have had glimpses of, and that's why I hold on to it. Can we let it go, release the concept, and let the full life experience rush through us or trickle through us and make us move through this life in a more wholesome and integrated, embodied way as this spiritual being that we are, having a human experience. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope this is a useful video. If you like this, please subscribe and like the channel and this video, and I speak to you again through the camera soon. Thank you. Bye bye.